Welcome to our very special 15th episode of Nerds and Friends. Today we have author Isra Sravenheart with us today to talk about her fantasy works, and we're very excited to have you on the podcast, Isra.
Hi, Josh. Thank you for having me.
Of course. This is my co-host, Carey DuVal. He'll be joining us today.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi. Yeah, it's pretty good. Do you know that because obviously I sent you an email saying that I'd be running late.
Yes. That's not a problem at all.
I took the quickest shower known to man. I was literally in and out in under 2 minutes, which is like a world record for me.
There you go.
With chronic pain, that was something I definitely could not avoid. So.
Oh yes, gotta have a good shower.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that was the reason for the delay.
That's all right.
Well, the key to that is for your hot water heater to break, and then when you need that shower, it goes.
The hot water is permanently left on for that reason.
Nice. Very cool.
Just in case I decide that I want one at 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Which is quite commonplace with somebody of my habits. Because I quite often stay up till the early hours writing, and that just happens to be a common occurrence. So the hot water stays on.
Hot water stays on. I like it. So you're primarily a writer in the late hours. I was going to say some people are mainly morning writers. I was curious to ask you about your process.
I tried to be a writer in the day hours, and for some reason, I don't know what it is, it's just not as effective. Mm-hmm. You know, I've had periods where my insomnia has completely reset itself and I've been going to bed somewhat sensible. I say sensible, it's still bordering between 2-3 a.m. But
sensible enough for insomnia.
Yeah. The difference is going to bed at 2-3 a.m. I'm going to bed at that time. I might get up between 11 and 9 a.m. rather than like 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is what's going on at the moment. So my sleeping habits, it's kind of, I think my writing fits in best with my kind of lifestyle, if you will. But I have literally tried writing during the day, and for some reason it's just not that effective.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of the opposite. I try writing at night and I just don't have the energy and the focus, and so I'm the opposite. I'm a morning writer, so that's fascinating.
Yeah. I have actually had occasions where I've literally have got up at something stupid like, I don't know, 8-9 o'clock in the morning, and before 10:30 I've probably done about 1,000 words, but that isn't always the case. So it's a case of adapting to whatever my body decides it wants to do. Maleficent is chasing a piece of cat litter. She's a strange child.
That's a really good way of finding your rhythm. I personally like that because I've suffered with terminal insomnia in the past, where it's like, where for me it's like 3 a.m. cool, like I'm up once, I'm up for always. Let's figure out what to do with your time here.
Yeah, well, actually, last night I started watching Supernatural for the third time in 6 months.
Nice.
And it got to about 10 o'clock this morning. I was like, oh shit, I've somehow managed to binge 10 episodes already. So
I actually got to sit down in a panel once with Eric Kripke, who's the showrunner for Supernatural. And he talked about a lot of his inspirations for that show and kind of what he was drawing on. So that was a really cool panel to sit on. Yeah, I need to watch it. I've never seen it.
I've actually in my last 2 sleepless nights, because Saturday night I didn't get to sleep till about 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was watching the Michael Rosenbaum podcast.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, Jensen was on it. And I've watched both of the ones with Jensen on it. And there was one with Jared as well. And they were both really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Carey, have you seen Supernatural?
I have. I watched up through, I believe, season 8. So I haven't I'm not as caught up because I know that it's actually over now. I thought it was a pretty interesting like TV show premise. I had a lot of fun with it, and Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki have awesome chemistry through the whole show,
do.
which like they're really good at pinging off of each other, and they kind of have that vibe like a couple of brothers. So it really works out.
Have you seen any of the conventions on YouTube?
No. Oh, like the full Supernatural conventions?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty great.
They basically get on stage and, well, I don't know what I can really say on here, but they are completely messing about on stage. They're having this amazing time. They are throwing the innuendos left, right, and center. And those conventions, from what I've seen of them, are absolutely hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that a favorite genre of yours? Like, not to pivot too hard, but is that what your current book is about, or what's the
my favorite genre, I think, in terms of TV shows, movies, books, is always going to be fantasy / paranormal.
Nice.
I've been a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer since I was a teenager.
Very cool.
Fantastic.
I actually revisit that once a year as well.
Nice.
I have not actually revisited that one for nearly 10 months because of Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
I came very late to the party with Supernatural because I don't know if you're aware, but in the UK, we have never had it on the streaming services.
Oh, really?
Really?
Never. I have been waiting for it to come on Netflix for years, and I bit the bullet last August, and I was like, right, I'm going to buy the DVDs.
Nice.
And then I checked on there a couple of weeks ago. I was like, hang on a minute, it's just literally landed on Amazon Prime.
Of course, as soon as you pay for the DVDs, then it's on Amazon
so
Prime.
I have I literally have the DVDs anywhere, and there's like loads of bonus stuff on there. So I've actually got my money's worth.
Oh, that's good.
But if for any reason it comes off Amazon Prime, which to be honest, stuff changes on the subscription services pretty much a lot, then I have the DVDs, and I'm pretty happy with that.
That's awesome.
But I actually got impatient and decided to just literally go out and buy it. So
yeah, got to do that with your favorite shows sometimes,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's nice. It's nice to have that hard copy because you can just plug it in and go to.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the same reason I love my Lord of the Rings extended editions.
I have actually never seen Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Oh, as a fantasy fan, I think you'd very much enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the Harry Potter films for the first time last October.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Because my friend literally was urging me to watch them. I said, okay, find me somewhere I can buy them on DVD and I will give them a look. And I actually done all 8 in 2 days.
Nice. Which one was your favorite?
I think it's the one where it gets really dark. So that would be, I think it's the one where we start hearing all the revelations about Snape and Dumbledore.
Ooh, Half-Blood Prince, I think.
Yeah, but I think the part 1 bit, because obviously they broke it down into 2 parts, didn't they?
Yeah.
And
for the last book, yeah.
Yeah, that was when it got really intense, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? Because never saw that coming.
Yeah.
I liked Goblet of Fire as well.
It's a good one.
But yeah, I think the final one for me.
Yeah, if you enjoy Supernatural and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Harry Potter, I think Lord of the Rings is going to be a very enjoyable experience for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just have to get hold of it, because I don't think, because I'm a bit of a binge watching addict. I've got Amazon Prime, I've got Disney Plus, I've got Netflix. I mean,
I want to say it's on Netflix, Lord of the Rings, last I checked. I don't know if it's extended.
It was on HBO Max.
UK, we do not have that.
Oh no.
We have something called, is it BritBox or something like that? But to be honest, that's all like British programs and stuff. And I believe there's another streaming service. I can't remember what it's called though. Begins with H. It might be Hulu or something like that.
Hulu has a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I have literally most of them.
Excellent. So you've got options.
Lots of options.
That's good.
So when people were moaning a couple months ago about Instagram and Facebook being down, I was like, well, Netflix is working. I do not see a problem.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And obviously my cat has YouTube on because I have a Fire Stick in the back of the TV.
Nice.
Which I don't know if you know what that is, but basically it means all the subscription services and all of the bonus stuff like YouTube, and there's a couple of other free bits and bobs that you don't have to pay for, are on the big screen TV. And my cat Maleficent is currently sat in front of that screen watching 3 baby sparrows chewing on their food, and she is just going to be sat there for ages now.
I love your cat's name, Maleficent. That's great.
Yeah, she's actually named after the Disney character as well.
That's perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about your book series. I'd love to hear about the stuff you've written.
Okay. So the Dark Spell series is kind of a dark fantasy, medieval, fairy tale like twist.
Ooh. Can you repeat the title? You kind of cut out for just a second.
Dark Spell series. That's the title of the series name. But we've got 8 books.
Ooh.
Wow.
Now, I started this in 2013, so it took me a couple of years to write the first one, Her Dark Soul. And basically what happened at the time, I was in kind of a mentally abusive relationship, whereby, you know, I was continuously being dropped, picked up again, dropped, and, you know, that whole kind of pattern. And eventually it came to a grand finish. And I was just sat on my own one night. It was a rainy September night in 2013. And before I know it, I'd written down 3 pages of what is now known as Her Dark Soul. And I didn't plan it to be a book. I didn't even plan it to be a series. All of this has just basically come about by, you know, circumstance. And I went with Author House in 2015, which, if anyone's listening, do not do that. They are a vanity publisher. A vanity publisher is where you pay to be published. I was very naive at the time. I didn't know any better. But I learned a lot from that experience. And actually, what gave the game up is their marketing manager that was in charge of marketing my books called me up on the phone and said to me, oh, you selling 10 books in a week is not enough. And I was like, what? Hang on a minute. I'm a new author.
Yeah.
I've just told you I've sold 10 books in a week. I've even sent you the screenshots. And she was like, no, I want you to buy this marketing package that's like $500, $600. And I went away and I thought about it and I was like, there's something off.
Yeah.
And
they should be doing that job for you, for sure.
Yeah. And she called back and I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to buy your marketing package. But actually, I'd like to terminate the contract. And like, this woman was on the other end of the phone somewhere in the United States. And, you know, you could almost hear a pin drop when I said that. And I think it took about 2 to 3 weeks for it to all go through. And obviously, I had to go ahead and find an editor. I had to go ahead and find a cover designer. I had to basically, because Author House never did any editing. These vanity publishers, they will lie to you when they say they do all these things for you. It literally did not happen. Wow. So it took a while, And it was January 2016 that her Dark Soul, it was her Blackened Soul at the time, but I rebranded things last year, so I kind of tidied things up a bit. And that got brought out to the public as me being an indie author, and I was plodding along with that. I was already halfway through the sequel, which is now Her Dark Heart. And when I released those pretty close together, because, you know, some people take 2 or 3 years to release the sequel. I did it in the space of about 7 or 8 months.
Wow, that's fast.
That's really impressive for a follow-up. That's very cool.
Yeah, and I've got about 6 chronic immune diseases kicking my ass as well.
Oh no.
Yeah, hence why I had to reschedule the other night, because
that's okay.
Yeah, my heart went too high, and I had to go and get that checked out. So
yeah, that's good you checked it out. I'm glad you're taking care of your health like that. That's good.
Yeah. I have fibromyalgia and endometriosis, which I consider the worst offenders. But there's also things like IBS. I'm highly anemic. I cannot take the anemic medication. It just gives me the most horrendous reactions.
Oh, wow.
I'm also a celiac. That means I'm gluten intolerant. And I'm also trying to kick anorexia's butt.
Oh, well, good for you on fighting that battle. I know someone who struggles with that.
Yeah, I mean, the anorexia itself is pretty much diminished. It's the gastrointestinal stuff. So it's kind of a catch-22 in that respect, and I'm just kind of riding it out. But because of that, it was towards the end of 2016, I began Her Dark Rose, which is the 3rd one in the series. And that was the point where I was like, okay, this is definitely going to be a series. This is, you know, there's 3 books in it now. And it was 2017 where I started to make strides in the indie world.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I had this kind of brainwave because it was 2017. I think it was close to the Amazon #1. And I got my first USA Today in 2017 as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very much so.
And it was 2018. I had this massive brainwave. I was writing Her Dark Love, or what was known as the beginning of it. And that was like the first of the prequels. And I was like, hang on a minute. There's so much background between Isra, Astrid, Everilda, Samuel, and then came along the 4 prequels. So Her Dark Love, Kissing Darkness, which is my personal favorite.
It's a great title.
Darkness, Queen of Darkness, and Darkness Reborn. Now, it's a bit complicated because obviously we've got the 4 prequels, which are 4, 5, 6, and 7 that I've just mentioned.
So you went the Star Wars route.
Kind of. And to be honest, I only saw Star Wars for the first time in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Catching up on media.
Darkness Reborn, which is book 8 in the series, actually follows after number 3.
Okay.
So we've kind of got the first 3 novels, and then we've got the 4 prequels, which go back in time. But book 8, we go back into present day. So I've in the most recent ones, I've got Seducing Darkness coming out on the 22nd of February. I've got Queen of Darkness coming out on the 22nd of March, and I've got Darkness Reborn coming out on the 22nd of April.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I've actually put the reading order inside them, so it's actually very clearly explained. And yeah, so it's gonna be about a couple months because we're towards the end of January now. Yeah.
That's exciting. Well, these were real quick. Our 3rd host, Will, joined us here, and he's a fellow cat lover. So that's awesome. You guys have something in common. But I wanted to introduce him real quick. He's a very talented artist and illustrator. So we're happy to have him here.
The final 3 books will be here in just under a couple months.
That's so exciting. We'll definitely include links when those come out on the podcast description so our viewers can check them out, because that's very exciting.
And I don't know if you're aware of Michael Evan, which is how I got this interview in the first place.
Yeah, he's helping advertise my new book that I just published, Exile into Sand. So he's been very helpful, and he's a great contact to have for sure.
He is my publicist.
That's awesome.
And he is going to be doing a box set. What we're going to do at first, we're going to do 1 to 4 of the Dark Spell series.
Nice.
So he says that's going to be between February and March. I mean, he knows what he's doing. I'm just leaving him to it in that area. He's got tons of experience. There is no doubts or worries on my part with him whatsoever, because he totally knows where to go with this.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy I signed with him as well.
Shortly after that, he says he wants to do the same thing with books 5 to 8, and I said, yeah, great, carry on. So there is actually, oh my God, Maleficent's trying to attack a squirrel on the TV.
Yeah. The nice thing then is that after the second box set, then you can do a third box set with all 8s as like a premium edition.
Yeah. So, and also in May, I released my first paranormal romance.
Ooh, tell us about that.
So it's called Forbidden Rendezvous with the Devil.
Ooh.
It's about Sabine. She's a young, kind of naive 25-year-old witch. What the hell is my child doing? And she starts working at this coffee shop. She's actually escaped an abusive relationship. She's just come out of that abusive relationship, and he shunned her for being a witch and all sorts. And she's moved to this town, Gloomvale. It's in the middle of nowhere. She actually thinks her luck is in, because she gets a job at this coffee shop called Bad Brews.
Nice.
And it's actually owned by this vampire that is Tristan Roseblood. She doesn't know he's a vampire. Yeah. And you know, he gets a little bit friendly with her. Things start to develop, and then it turns out that her ex-boyfriend is kind of still involved in her life in more ways than one.
Oh,
so
sounds intriguing.
She's kind of tied up in this revenge plot scenario thing that's going on. And then we meet Tristan's brother that is also a vampire.
Ooh.
And he owns the local nightclub, which is called Graved in Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, she's got these 2 vampires, both interested for her. I can't guarantee there's going to be a happy ending. But it's very climactic. They expect suspense, intrigue. You know, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here, and yeah, she's basically got these 2 vampires after her, and you know, they're both vying for her affections, if you will, and it can only go one way.
Wow, that sounds like an exciting romance for sure.
And it's kind of based on my interest, because obviously I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've been interested in vampire type TV shows, movies for years. And I've seen so many vampire books and stuff, and I was like, I actually want to have a crack at this.
That's awesome.
And I thought, why don't we add the witch element to it, because I'm actually a witch myself in real life.
Very cool.
I don't just write about witches, I actually am one. And I thought, why don't we do kind of an interesting twist with a vampire and a witch, and just kind of see where this goes. And you know,
that's awesome that you incorporate something from your real life and real experience into your writing. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
There's Will's cat.
The Dark Spell series has got a lot of me in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because I don't feel comfortable writing something that's just totally fiction, because I feel like it has to have a bit of substance.
Absolutely.
So we see so many TV shows, movies, books, we are very privileged to live in 2022, where everything is virtually at our fingertips. So there is a lot of stuff out there. And I wanted to create something that was based on something I already knew how to do. So obviously the Dark Spell series covers issues like forbidden love, being betrayed, going to the dark side, dealing with your own demons inside yourself, and and I do focus on the villains.
Oh.
Yeah. And how much of that is informed by well, so obviously a lot of this comes from you, and you're very good at writing what you know from the sound of it. How much of this is how do you separate yourself from things that are what sound like things that would be inherently very painful to dredge up and to remember? Like, what's your process with taking something that is a very tricky and very personal subject and putting it on the paper in a way that does it justice?
I give it humor. So one of my first ever boyfriend ends up in the Dark Spell series wearing tights.
Excellent.
I really, really love adding the humorous edge to it. And in book 3, Her Dark Rose, we meet Samuel the Lightbringer. Now, Samuel is a very complicated character. He's basically in charge of bringing those that have strayed away from the light to the dark side. He's in charge of dragging them back to the light. And unfortunately, things do not always go his way. And this is a very stressful job for him. And as time goes on, especially in the prequels, where we kind of jump back to where Isra is like 17 years old, whereas in present day, she's in like her early 30s. We see a very angry, frustrated side of Samuel. And one of my favorite scenes so far is basically he's in his magical realm, Spiricity, which is like the light realm, and it's like where his grey chateau is, and he's actually got his garden outside with the yellow crocuses and the violets, and basically he's sat looking out the window getting pissed off because he has all this power but he can't magically conjure himself up a cup of coffee.
That's good that he's just sitting there wanting coffee. I like that.
There's a lot of dry, dark humor in there.
I like that.
And I can pretty much go that way with the character Samuel because there's a lot of frustration and anger in him. But with one of our main characters, Astrid, I can get away with a lot of humor as well, because he is kind of a little bit hero and a little bit villain.
That's so fun mixture.
I've kind of taken it to the limits with him. But you won't actually find out what the extent of that is unless you literally read Her Dark Love and Kissing Darkness. Because those two, for me, those are the ones that kind of set it off. Where we learn what makes Astrid tick, where we learn what makes Isra tick, where we learn what makes Everilda tick, which is Isra's ex-best friend / enemy. And obviously Samuel the Lightbringer, which, when he can't drag people back to the light, this guy gets really cranky.
Sounds like a fun character. I like that.
So don't think for one second that the villains are the only bad guys.
Well, nuance in characters is so fascinating. Just in general,
is what it seems.
That's awesome.
So on the outset, they might look one way, but on the inside, they could be a completely different way. There's a lot of conflicting personalities.
Yeah, and that's so. And one of the things that's really interests me about your writing here. I know that you seem to have a lot of your own personal mythologies within the series itself, but do you find a lot of your inspiration just comes from from your own experiences or what you want in this world, or do you draw much inspiration from other mythologies, especially now with your new book including vampires in addition to witches and magic?
I think my inspiration is kind of because as a child I would always be reading books like the Grimm's fairy tales. I had the Sabrina the Teenage Witch novels as well at one point.
Nice.
I actually just finished watching that on Amazon Prime 3 days ago as well, by the way.
Nice.
Because of Salem the cat is a good enough reason to rewatch that anyway.
Oh yeah.
And I think I take things from my own life, and I have a rule when it comes to personal relationships and friendships. And it's kind of comical in this respect that if somebody does me wrong, I then have the interest to quite potentially stick them in the next book.
I see.
So, friendships, relationships that have gone sour, they might have ended up in the Dark Spell series.
How very Taylor Swift of you.
I don't actually know too much about who Taylor Swift is.
I don't either, but what I do know is that apparently most albums are about 7 songs about bad breakups. Well, okay, I'm not going to steal a joke, so.
No. I pretty much live under a rock. So all of these kind of big name celebrities, I probably don't know who most of them are. I kind of live in my world. My world consists of writing, cats, and TV shows, basically.
That's a good world right there.
Yeah, I don't watch the news. I don't read newspapers. I don't pay I don't even have mainstream TV. If it wasn't for my Fire Stick and the subscription services, I wouldn't even be. I would just literally watch my DVDs. So. And I actually did that for years before I knew of the existence of things like Netflix. Because I came to the Netflix party very, very late. I didn't discover Netflix until 2016.
Oh man.
So, I very happily live under a rock.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be working if you're able to get, 4 books coming out in the coming year?
Between May 2021 and December 2021 last year, I wrote almost 5 books.
Wow.
I was extremely busy. I mean, to be quite honest with you, in the last 3 weeks, we're into 3 weeks of January now, my writing has slowed down quite a bit, but to be honest, churning out that amount of books between the space of 8 months is pretty hardcore. And to be honest, if I spend a week watching TV, it's hardly going to kill me.
You've easily earned it with all that writing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have, what the hell? Hang on a minute. My phone's making stupid noises and I can't find it to turn it off.
Oh no.
Hopefully it just doesn't go off again. But the thing for me is I recently discovered writing sprints.
Oh.
And I participated in one, I think it was Thursday night. And I got about 1,300 words done in this sprint. So,
nice.
Considering I haven't done anything between now and then, I still think that's pretty good going.
That's really good.
Yeah. So, I'm not really forcing myself to do anything. I am working on something connected to the Dark Spell series, but I'm not going to say too much at the moment.
Keep it secret for now. I like that.
Yeah. I have this superstition, and to be honest, I was watching the podcast with the Michael Rosenbaum one that I mentioned, and Jensen Ackles was on it, and Jensen Ackles said he has this superstition about not naming projects to the public before he gets the green light on them. And I was thinking to myself, I don't like revealing my book titles on social media before I have a cover. And that superstition that he has is so bloody similar to mine. It's actually ridiculous. Because I won't talk about projects on social media until they at least have a cover.
Nothing wrong with that. Keep it secret and make a big reveal. I like that.
Yeah.
Actually, that's probably a pretty good strategy, because then you're not because with social media, as much of like Twitter or Facebook is text-based, like having an actual visual element to direct people towards, I gotta imagine, is much better for actually generating traffic towards the finished product. It makes it a little more tangible.
Yeah, I mean, I personally last night decided I was taking a break from Facebook because all I see on there lately is conflict, arguments, and I just turned around and I said, right, I'm watching Supernatural. Fuck the lot of you.
Yes.
You know, because there's just no need for it, really. You know, and there is a lot of authors on my feed. I'm not going to name any names and bring anyone into anything, but to be honest, I see the same patterns from the same people, and it's just like, you know, find something else to talk about.
How dare you say that about Stephen King? He writes about a lot of things. I know you were trying to say no names, but how dare you? You both are such prolific writers. I'll bet if you combined forces within a year, you could fill a bookstore easily.
Yeah, I'm not talking about people in the league of Stephen King, though.
Oh no, I'm just messing around.
I know.
Which, by the way, look forward for my next project, which I will name on here. It's going to be Scarlet Witch versus Laurel and Hardy. I hope everyone's excited for that. It's going to be one new reference and one really old reference that nobody will get.
Right.
Well, Isra, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has been great talking with you.
Yeah,
really appreciate your time, and we'll put links. Everyone get excited to check out the rest of the series as it comes out later this year. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if I haven't already, I'll send you my link tree. There's literally everything on there.
Perfect. Please do. Yeah, send it as an email, and I'll connect it to the podcast, and it'll be good to go.
All right, brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Carey and Will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great day. Thank you for joining us on Nerds and Friends.
And it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.